All right, we are live on YouTube. Okay. One second. All right, guys, we are live on YouTube. I'm just trying to make sure we're also able to record.
So just wanted to give a heads up. I don't know if it's on Stacey, on your part. When you started recording, it started being very blurry. So I'm not sure if that's something that, I mean, from your end, if anyone is experiencing that. Just wanted to make.
No, everything looks clear to me here.
Okay, so it's not breaking on anything. That's fine.
No.
Okay. All right, we're good.
All right, guys, we are back. We are back to SCC.
Somebody said, oh,
and we are going to be getting started with today's episode. It's an amazing time to come live to you today again from our virtual studios all across the DFW area. My name is Dr. Oyinka Solajinadu, and you, my co-host.
My name is Akan.
Y'all got to introduce yourself.
My name is Akanetim.
And Stacey looks like...
Hi, I'm Stacey Anderson.
Stacey Frozen, technology. All right. Yeah, technology. So we are live on YouTube today, guys, and it's so exciting to come to you guys with another episode of our Singles Connect community podcast. And today we're going to be discussing another topic on this whole relationship tip, and we're talking about healing and wholeness in relationships. So, Miss Stacey, can you put us into this topic today? Because I think that's an area that you're very passionate about. So I'll let you take the wheel on this one and drive us through.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. OJ, and thank you guys for taking the time out to join us on this conversation that we're about to have. And don't forget, guys, to make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on Instagram. And everything is the same across the board, is the Singles Connect community. All right, guys. So we are talking about healing in a relationship, or the maybe healing / grieving the relationship that you lost. Like, how do you heal from that and move on? And the topic that we're going to dive into, I think, is not just romantic related. I think it's a relationship across the board, because whatever relationship we find ourselves in with people, there is a part of you that you share with that person. I think that whenever the relationship ends, for whatever reason it is, you're not just only grieving the loss of the person that you had the relationship with, you are also grieving who you were in that relationship with that person, and the life you thought that you may have had in the relationship with the person, or the life that you were looking forward to. So there are different aspects of the grieving stage that you go into. You have that denial stage that you go into, where you're like, this didn't just happen. And you have the stage of where you probably try to make it work, and you probably try to backpedal, and you question yourself, you question who you are, what you thought you may have did wrong or didn't do wrong, or the things you could have done differently. There are different stages that we go through when we're grieving, or when we lost something, or when we're trying to heal from something. So that's just my take on it, and then we can just dive into the different aspect of it, and I'm sure Dr. OJ and Akan have their aspect of it too as well.
Yes, definitely. I definitely have a perspective on this, just wanting to look at it from a perspective of just the longevity of the relationship. How long have you been with this person? It's so funny. I had a conversation with a lady who is in her 60s, I believe close to her 70s. And she was like, Dr. O, I would really like to have your input in this. She attends my church. And I was like, what? Pray tell, what can I do for you? I was like wondering. She was like, well, I need your advice. And she said, I have a friend of mine that we have been friends for over 50 years. So that's why I'm estimating her age is in the 70s, because if you have a friend over 50 years, 5 decades, that's a long time. And they got into some type of disagreement, and now they're no longer talking to each other. And I'm like, what? How is that? So by the time she went over the whole situation, I looked at it, I said, it just, what does this whole situation mean to you? Is it that important where you're willing to let go of 5 decades of friendship? And she was like, well, he's willing to let it go. I said, but what are you willing to do? Are you okay with it? And she said, well, I don't care. I said, you actually do care. The fact that you're talking to me about it and I'm a complete stranger, which I really don't mind, means you really care. And, of course, I just, gave her a very, I guess, in my own opinion, I felt she had a choice to make. Are you going to be happy with it? Or are you going to be upset about it? And if you're going to be upset about it, what are you willing to do? Is it that important for you to hold on to whatever the offense was? Or are you able to let it go so you guys can have a good time? Because when you look, whatever the situation is, it's going to be so important to you in about 6 months, what that offense was. So that's like the friendship part, the longevity of the relationship sometimes pulls people back in where they're not able to move on quickly enough. That's a friendship, right? But now when we look at a relationship, as far as people getting out of maybe even a toxic relationship that has gone on for a very, very, very long time, it becomes normal. And then even as bad as that situation, some people would prefer to stay in there rather than, cut ties, move on, and start the healing process, because it might seem too painful, even though they're trying to heal from a bad situation. So I don't know what you guys think about that.
Well, if I may speak, you're right, Dr.
I can.
Ojo. Yeah, you're right. I mean, leaving a relationship is tough, especially a relationship where you've invested a lot of time. You see, human beings, we are relational, and we all long for relationships. And basically, as you spend time with someone, and you're literally investing time, and you're getting used to this person. You're getting very familiar with this person. You do things together. It can be tough when that goes sour. And so healing is, I think, before we get to healing, I would say, just getting into that situation is very, I mean, if we're going to say it, it can be painful, right? Especially when it's something you didn't want to happen. I mean, no one wants that to happen, but it does happen. But I think for me, one of the things that I usually ask is like, that magic question: how did it get there? How did we get to this place? And I think that's like one of the areas where no one is usually able to answer that question. Like, well, how did it get sour? How did it get this bad? Or and that is causing so much pain and so much hurt, and maybe those are some of the things that I feel like we need to look at. And then obviously what happens. And then when it gets there, sometimes there's nothing you can do because it's beyond your control. It's beyond your control, and it might even be beyond both of you's control. And so now you have to accept the facts, accept the reality, and then find a way to move on, because it's not the end of life, right? And we know that some people get very pained and very hurt, that it actually does end their lives. We know there are cases like that. Definitely don't wish that on anyone. But so I think we talking about this is, just pretty much just trying to see what we can do to, to see how we can just touch on this situation and see how we can make things better based on maybe our experiences. And so that's all I have to say for now about that, about healing. Yeah.
So I think one of the things that
so I know.
I'm sorry, Dr. Ojo, go ahead.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Stacy was bringing up some points, and I would like her to elaborate on that.
Oh, thank you. I was just going to say that I think one of the things that we need to recognize, and you mentioned it while you were telling the story regarding your church member that approached you regarding that friendship of 5 decades, so 50 years of friendship, is what I think we don't kind of acknowledge is, and I heard Dr. Cheyenne Bryan said it, and she articulated it so beautiful. The healing does not mean that the pain does not exist or it doesn't hurt. It just means that the pain that you're feeling no longer dictates your life or the decision that you make. So with even that person coming to you is, yes, I know she's saying that she doesn't care, but we obviously know that's not the case, else she would not be discussing it with you. It's obviously that he cares, or he or she. But the point is that that hurt is so deep because you are looking at, as I said, if you're thinking about a decade, some people don't even live to see that long. So you're taught. So, and I would think that maybe they have probably gone through some conflict. I would have hoped before within that past 50 years to know how to navigate the conflict or their personality within the relationship. I'm not sure, but I would have thought that maybe by now they would have figured it out. Or this could be one of those relationships too that you have where it's one person feel like they give more than the other. And it could be a transactional relationship too. That you're the relationships like that where you have more, you see the person and value the person more than the person values you. And that could be the reason why she's saying that the person doesn't want to fix it, because the person may be at their breaking point where they felt like, I have had so many years of dealing with a certain type of personality or a certain toxicity from someone, and I'm always the one that is extending the olive branch. I'm always the one that's trying to fix it. So it's kind of hard to give a perspective or a point on a dynamic that we have not we don't know the full story of, and we don't know the other person's story either. But I would say overall, that's the thing about relationship and trying to heal. Akan said you get stuck into a place when you're asking what went wrong. Yes, those are questions we all ask ourselves. But honestly, I think we all can figure out what went wrong, or you can answer the question to a certain degree. Maybe not on what went wrong on their part, but you can sometimes answer the question of what went wrong on your part, or what was the eye-opening things for you that why you decide that you have to exit this relationship. And then you have to deal with and pick up the pieces of how do I heal from this, and how do I move on, and how do I start a new chapter. Whether there's things about myself that I need to change, and there are things about myself that I need to do differently moving forward than I did when I was in that relationship. But I really don't think it's you're left with unanswered questions. I think we're more left with the difficult questions that we don't want to ask ourselves.
You're right, Stacey. I think it all depends on the dynamics of the relationship. When the relationship, ended, or what happened, because sometimes people really don't know. People can't really figure out. Some people can. Some people, they know something went wrong, they can tell, but they don't know why it went wrong. Some people can do that.
I agree with that. That's true. I agree with that.
It happens. But I think for me, what's most significant with healing is you need to recognize one thing. Regardless of how much you want to make someone a part of you, regardless of how much you want to become, just feel like someone was a part of you, the only person you have is yourself. You came into this world by yourself. And so I think one of the most important steps when it comes to healing is you need to acknowledge and realize I am alone. It's only me. I need to care for myself. I need to take care of myself. I need this. And then you need to sort of look at the reasons, like sort of like also buttress those reasons why you feel like you're not, like, just reaffirm yourself and understand that it's you as the person is very important as an entity. I think that's where it starts, because I feel like a lot of times when people hear, you can hear them talking about, sort of like just seeing it from the other people, and it hurts, right? But I feel like really just knowing, which is why I think this thing still goes back to self. This knowledge of self is very important, and it's not easy to do it when you're in pain, but you have to try. And I'm just talking like this is the first step for healing, because healing is for you first. Mm-hmm. Right. And so when you heal, then you can now go on to other things that you want to do. So I just wanted to just sort of like talk about that first step of acknowledging is that it's for you, regardless of whatever situation you have, when you have noticed that there's damage or there's pain or there's hurt or there's chaos, the action has to start. It's for you, right? It's for you. And so when you have that, you start moving in that direction.
You're muted, Dr. OJ. I don't think we can hear you.
Yeah.
No.
No, we don't. I don't hear you.
Can you hear me now? I'm so
I hear you now.
Yeah, there you go.
sorry, technology.
No, you're fine, technology.
It's hard to really, when you get into this, let's look at the dating scene, like just the dating scene. You meet someone, you try to get to know them. And of course, at least for my personality type, I'm the kind of person who, if I'm trying to go through that process, I invest myself, because I feel like there's no point me half-assing it, just hoping that it doesn't work out, right? And then it ends up not working out. Then I have to now regroup, reset myself, and hopefully not be jaded to the point where I don't even consider another opportunity in the future. It gets really tiring, you know? So I think that's why a lot of people are, as far as, you know, within the singles community, where we're like, okay, are we constantly in a cycle of trying to meet someone, trying to work it out, and then it doesn't work out, then we're trying to heal ourselves, and then we're just about healed, and then we're trying to meet someone else, and then we try to work it out, and then we have to heal ourselves again. Like, oh my goodness, that is so exhausting. And it's so funny because today my pastor was talking about the story of this guy that founded Airbnb, and talking about how he saw an interview where he was talking about his next assignment after taking his company public and becoming a billionaire. What was to solve the problem of loneliness in America. A lot of people are lonely, like he's single. So he's trying to, like, I said, it's not even just single people that are lonely. Even married people suffer from loneliness. And loneliness actually is reported as one of the highest causes of depression and suicide in the United States. So this healing thing, like, how do we really begin to get a handle of it? Because if you're in the single place, you're trying to get together with someone, you're going to have to go through getting to know someone. It doesn't work out. Then I have to heal. Then I'm healed. Then I'm getting back out there. Then I'm like, seriously, I don't know.
So I think I hear you, Dr. OJ, when you talk about the exhaustion, and you talk about going through the motions and jumping from one, you know, the different aspect of it and starting all over again. I completely hear you, and trust me, I'm a single woman. I understand. I get it. But I think when Akan said you are by yourself, for me personally, I'm not by myself, because I am a woman of faith, and I'm also a child of God. So I think that God is with me at all aspects of my life. So I don't necessarily think that, yes, I came in here with by myself.
All of us have God with us. Stacey, all of us. We're all children of God.
But I also think that I think one of the things that I know that I am learning, and I think that's where I think we kind of miss the mark when it comes to the relationship and the dating aspect of it, is when the Bible says you guard your heart. I don't think we have done such a great job of guarding our hearts. And I can say personally that I have not done such a great job of guarding my heart either. Because I am a person that when I love with everything that I have. I don't do anything in my life, it doesn't matter what it is, with one foot in and one foot out the door. That's just not who I am. If I'm going to commit to something, I am going to commit, and I'm going to show up. Unfortunately, we have other people that are in the world that doesn't operate with the same level of integrity that we do, transparency and honesty. So that's where it comes in, where yes, you can show up authentically with who you are, but I also have to now lean to wisdom of where God says you have to also do this by guarding your heart. So you basically now what you're looking for most intentionally is not the fluffy stuff, the words that people tell you, but you're looking for how they actually show up, how they actually, you know, when they say they're going to do something, do they do it? Or is it always the the smoke and mirror? Is it always the gaslighting of things, or are they actually people of their word? So I think that's where we now have to become smarter, so that way if things doesn't pin out the way we want it to, you're not completely so vulnerable or left so distraught because you had your whole heart set on this. Because in the process, yes, you were being smart and you were showing up authentically with who you are, but you were also being guarding your heart at the same time, where you were waiting before you give entirely to this situation if this person is really who they say that they are, which sometimes takes time. And I said you have to do the fact checking, and that integrity piece shows up again. Is it more of saying something, or is it more about the action of the person?
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting, and I'd love to hear Akan's point of view on this one, where, you know, we're looking at this situation from that perspective. Some of us are, you know, we just have this, this heart, like you said, we go all in, but then it's just being able to strike that balance, right? Being able to balance out, okay, how do I take the time to watch and to assess and to evaluate the situation to determine if this is an all-in situation, or do we just need to pull back and just move right along, you know? But one of the things, there's a danger in that I have found, just finding a balance in being too quick to sort of like cut people up, because once I see, and this, I'm like, oh no, this is not going to work. But then it's like people telling you like, oh, it's not going to work because you haven't given it time. But for me, knowing myself, my personality trait, the way I love, the way I receive love, you know, my love language, if you want to put it that way, if I give myself more time in that situation, then I get sucked in. Then I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I see it and I see more of it. But at that point where I'm giving that time, I'm getting more sucked in. And then I'm hurt. So how do we do this? Because I don't know, maybe is it a female thing or a male thing? I don't know.
No, it's not a female thing, Dr. And then the other thing too is, as I said, when you look at how the life people live in integrity of people and what they say, for example, if you are committed to, you're not committed to anything, and you don't sit under leadership or mentorship of no one, you answer to nobody but yourself, like that to me now is a big red flag. It's like, okay, so if you can commit and sit under authority of anything or to anyone, and I'm talking about like God, or you have men that are in your life that are mentors that you can actually go to and say, hey, I am thinking about doing this, or I'm thinking about doing that. What do you think? I need wise counseling. Then I know that there's actually something off about you, because none of us are an island. We all need good people in our lives. And also one of the other things that is becoming abundantly clear to me are the ones that have absolutely no friends. I am a loner and an introvert, and I can be a homebody and I can be an extrovert too when I need to. But if you have absolutely no friends at all, there is something radically wrong with you. I am just going to say it. Just like they'll probably say there's something wrong with me because I have no children. But I'm going to say there's something wrong with you if you have absolutely no friends.
Why would someone say there's something wrong with you if you have no children? Yeah, I can. Please help us. Well, I'm interested to find out why someone would say there's something wrong with you if you have no children.
Oh no, Dr. OJ. I will be, before I let Akan speak, I'll be very transparent that I recently, because my sister asked me, you know, she was like, I really think you need to try to get out of the house. And then she was like, have you tried the dating app again or whatever it is? And I got on out of, you know, I just got on. And you would believe that I'm reading some of these profile comments, and a couple of them I was like, okay, well, I might as well eliminate myself from from this person, because the profile literally says, if you are a woman over the age of 40, you have no children, you've never been married, that's a red flag for me. Just swipe to the left. And I just literally swiped to the left, because I'm like, oh, you just eliminated me altogether, and there's something wrong with me then, I guess, because I fall into all of that category. So I'm just saying that, yes, there are people who actually believe if you are a certain age, you have never been married, you don't have any children, then there's something wrong with you. They don't even consider that maybe those were decisions you made for yourself, and maybe this person is actually a smart thinking person, because you made certain decisions for yourself that necessarily probably wouldn't have pinned out. Well, if you decide you don't want to become a statistics, or you don't necessarily decide that you don't want to do certain things, a certain aspect of your life, but no, that's not the case. But anyways, I digress.
No. I'll speak to that, but I want Ken to go so that we'll talk about that statistics thing, because yeah, that's something that I have been guilty of, because I'm like, if I meet a guy, he's over a certain age, no children, no women, like, what's going on?
Yeah, but well, we've seen cases where, most of these things that has been enumerated, no friends, no matter. We've seen cases where people tick those boxes, and it still ended up terrible and bad, and that's why I tell people, I think a lot of times when we break up and we're healing, which is part of what I want to talk about, in an effort to sort of protect yourself. Stacey has talked about guarding your heart. You sort of put these parameters on, just like, okay, I need to check this, and it's good because now you're learning, which is what I actually want to buttress about. The truth about it is, if a vase is broken or someone is sick, something happens, they heal, right? But you see, when you're healing, one of the things that happen and that sort of ensures that you move forward is that you become stronger. That's why when you're giving drugs or when it vases, you can carry something and glue it up because you want it to be stronger. So I think one of the truths that I've come to realize for myself is, you have to be tougher. Mm-hmm. You have to be your authentic self, still have all your good heart and everything, but part of being tough is you have to get stronger. And being stronger is you have to notice patterns that have happened in the past, not just from patterns that have happened in the past. You have to ask people. Sometimes I'll talk to people that I know, even Stacey. There are things about women. I'll call her and I ask, what do you think about this thing? It's because I'm trying to study patterns. I'm seeing patterns. I'm matching these patterns from social media. I'm matching these patterns from stories. I'm matching these patterns from true experiences. I'm matching the patterns from friends. So when you do that, I feel like, and I'm not saying it's definite, but you have to become tougher because the world we live in today is very toxic. Oh. And so, and that's why I go back to that thing of self, because once you tell yourself that, you understand that all you have is yourself. And Stacey, I'm also Christian. God is with me and I know he leads and all of that. But I'm just saying that moving as yourself and understanding that no one's looking out for your back except your creator, it helps you understand that, listen, you have to look out for what's going on. Mm-hmm. And what I tell people is that, because a lot of times people say, okay, they get sucked in. Yes, it's almost impossible for people to escape who they are when you spend time together. And that's why I tell people, regardless of how it is, so if you're doing a long distance relation, you have to spend time with that person. I don't care if you need to, if the person is doing long distance, then you have to be ready to be traveling to spend time, literally. You don't have to cohabit together, because I don't support cohabiting. It's not brought about, but you need to spend time in different situations. They will eventually show themselves. It's just impossible for them not to show themselves. So it doesn't have to always be pre-made. Just literally, sometimes it's just sitting down and talking and understanding, and these things will come up. So I think one of the things for healing is you have to get tougher because you have to be stronger. So it's not just because I think a lot of people I want to heal first and then I'll go into that's good. But as you move forward, you have to actually be stronger. So now for me, there's certain patterns. Now I don't even let you, there's things I can tell from your pictures. If I went on a dating profile and from your words, I don't even need to get in the conversation with you. I already know that this is the area. And that's because I have been able to see certain patterns happening and I can see certain things. So I already know that, listen, there's nothing. I respect what you're doing. I respect what's going on with you, but I know that this doesn't work with me. So at that point, I'm not even giving you a chance to come here and, mess that up. That doesn't mean that I don't seek to find understanding when I see someone that has potential. I feel like your intuition can sort of tell you someone that has potential based on how they move and based on what they do, which is why you observe. But when you notice these patterns, you become stronger and you're able to spend time. Spending time is important. And so that way you're guarding yourself from constantly not going in too deep and then having to be broken down and then healing again. So, yeah, it's not easy, but you just got to get tough. I'm just going to stop there because I know we need to continue. I just wanted to buttress on that point.
So is it getting stronger or is it becoming smarter? Because I think, yes, you develop, if you go through anything and you get hurt or whatever the case may be, you get stronger. It's not like getting stronger physically, but you get to stronger maybe mentally, and you become more self-aware, and
Yeah.
you become smarter in your choices, and
Yeah.
you become more I guess aware of the things that you probably overlooked before, because now that emotional intelligent part of you, or your IQ, whatever it is, starts to kick in, where you're like, okay, I can't make the same mistake over and over again. Or as you said, you recognize you start looking for patterns, pattern of behavior. And you talk about self. They say relationship is like a mirror to us. It holds up exactly, it's a mirror to who we are. It's either going to determine if you're going to show up as an authentic person of integrity, a person of good quality, a person that is actually loving and caring, a person that's honest and truthful, or you're going to show up and doing the complete opposite of who that you present yourself or claim to be. So I get the whole self thing is very important, I guess, in the healing process. And I also think counseling is great too. Like, even if you can't identify maybe the patterns of the people that you're dating, because you said looking for pattern, then you can start to look at, are you dating the same people, but with different names? So are they all the same personality, the same character, the same type of background? You also have to look too, because it also could be what innately maybe inside of you that is you're needing from them, that is why you're attracted to certain type of people. Yes. So I think being very self-aware and being able to look at yourself, and whatever time you need to spend with yourself, whether that's going through counseling, seeing a life counselor, having your pastor, whoever it is that you need to actually get that step from of that, being that self-aware of who you are and why is it that you attract certain type of people, which also can come from your childhood, the type of way that you loved or you show up to in your childhood. Sometimes it's often how we show up in our adult relationships. Yeah. And that's also something new that I just learned, that I find that is very fascinating, that they say look at the type of child that you were, even to your parents and your sibling. Were you the one that was always trying to fix everything? Were you the one that mama leaned on to be the strong one, to take care of this, to be the one that take care of the littler siblings? Then you become that person that is the one that is taking care of that person in a relationship. You're the one that's trying to build them up. You're the one that's trying to make sure that everything is taken care of for them, but then you're left with like, who take care of you? Yeah. So it's, I think it's a lot of things that goes into the whole healing process, from getting over a relationship aspect of it, or healing within yourself, like figuring exactly who you are, what you have to offer as a person, and also what you can give to another human being before we start showing up in relationship. Because I think oftentimes we show up broken, and then we're looking for somebody to fix us, or somebody to put us together, when that's not the role that other human beings are supposed to play for us in relationships.
Yes.
No, I absolutely agree with you. That part of what's it called? Fixing someone and just being the person to pick up the pieces. So what would you say the wait time is, right? So you have people who, I think this is more for the men. I don't know if it's for the men, but I've seen it common in men than women, whereby they're able to easily move on from one relationship to the other. Not just relationship, but men are married and then they get a divorce, and it's like months later they're getting married again. I mean, that I've seen that more prevalent in men than women. I know it does happen for the women as well. So would you say that those people have found healing? I mean, because it always surprises me to see that dynamic, and I'm like, wow, that was quick. I mean, how quickly could you have moved on and stuff like that? So, I mean, I don't know. Would you say that that's more for men or for women? And what's a good wait period to say, oh, I'm healed and I'm moving on? Some people prefer to get in a relationship to try to get over whatever they were coming from. Is that an ideal situation? Does that really work?
I don't think it works, Dr. OJ, because oftentimes those are the same people too that end up getting divorced again, or the same people that have multiple relationships or multiple marriage. I don't necessarily think that it works. I think that people jump from one thing to the other in order not to really deal with themselves at hand. Because if you have to sit and deal with yourself at hand, then again, as I said, you have to ask yourself those hard questions. You have to then figure out what it about you that gravitates towards these different types of whether I hate to call people broken, but we all have some brokenness in all of us at some aspect, some level of whatever that is that about that person that attracts you, or that thing that that person was doing for you. So, and I don't think it's just for the men. I think men are becoming a lot different. I would say in the past, I don't know if I put a time frame on it, maybe in the past decade, they're becoming more vocal. They're becoming more vulnerable when it comes to their feelings and talking about the things that hurts and talking about the things that grieve them. And they're, seeking help now and going to counseling and therapy and all of that stuff. And I love to see it. It is fantastic. It's great.
That's amazing. Yes.
It is. So I am in awe of it all. But for the ones that don't do that and that feel like, you do have some men that feel like the only purpose they serve is just to be somebody's husband. So it could be those men that you see that they never actually deal with themselves to figure out why this person and that person divorced me. They just know that the only thing that they see themselves as is somebody's husband, when that is just a small significant role that you play in your life. That's not just all that you are. Because I think I'm a woman, but I'm also a wife. Two different roles. And I think when I show up for whoever that person that God is going to provide me, we're going to have a deep conversation. Like, what capacity do you expect me to play as a wife? And what capacity do you expect me to play as a woman? Because I'm going to be able to tell you that, okay, this is my limitation here, and this is my limitation here. Because I am two different people in one body. And I think a lot of men probably have not come to that realization that you're not just a husband, you are a man too. And there are other parts of you that you fulfill within your life that is not just being a husband. But some of them,
a lot of men just want to be husbands. I think that's the contrary. I can. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's I mean, some I don't know that a lot of men want to. I think a lot of men want to be men. I would say like a lot of men want to do what they want. At least I know that with men, it's there's definitely the ego thing going on. And I definitely understand what Stacey is saying, but I think the issues we have in society right now is that we actually do not have husbands. We have people that say they're husbands, but they're not, because what it means to actually be a husband.
That's why I said it's two different roles. You're a man and you're a husband. So what capacity do you have to play the roles?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like those qualities that you have to even use to become a husband are qualities that before you can be the husband that supports a woman properly, you would have the values you could have touched as a man will make you whole as a person. And I think a lot of people they haven't done that yet. They use the title, but they're not actually that person. And so I just feel like it still goes to the inward self and inward work. That's what it is. It's the hardest thing for human beings to do. Everybody wants to deal with somebody else's problem. Everybody wants to judge. Everybody wants to tell you what's wrong, but they can't tell you what's going on. So
my goodness, you're so right about that. I'm telling you,
it's the toughest work. And the truth about it is that when you're dealing with self and you don't have the patience to deal with yourself, what do you do? A lot of people, what do we do? Flight. What is flight? we're looking for the next best thing, the next nice person to give us a nice feeling. Maybe we need to come back and talk about the truth. Relationships are a risk. It's funny because my pastor did preach that in church. Even when you vet everybody, even when you vet, you can't even vet till the end. It's a risk. So you have to understand that that's there. That's number one. Number two, people have to understand relationships, even yourself, there's pain. Pain must come. And you can't be happy all the time. I always feel like every time what we see on social media, we say, oh, it's happy, we're here, we're in Ibiza, this is what, that's not, it's not. Because we are all imperfect.
Those are called highlights.
Yeah, so when you see someone constantly showing you nice parts of themselves and never showing you the down part, that's I don't like using the word red flag, but that's a pointer to something wrong. Because I want to know what your down part is. Because I know we all have something that's not working right. There's something that we're struggling with. I want to know that part.
So guys, let me ask you guys this question, right? So that we can kind of switch it up a little bit. So this is for you guys, both of you, Stacy and Akan. So would you guys say that you meet someone, right, who is walking through their, excuse my friend, their shit? Would you be willing to hang in there with them and walk through with them, you know, just kind of be that shoulder to lean on while you guys are getting started in your process? Or would you want them to kind of like go fix your stuff and then come back to me whole, nice and tidy with a bow tie, and I'm gonna get with you? I don't know. Who wants to go first? Like, seriously. With this healing process, you meet someone who has potential, he's your type, she's your girl, but you're like, she got a lot of stuff she got to walk through. Are you willing to get in the trenches with her, with him, to help him walk through it, and then you guys get on your merry way? Or would you like be like, no, you go fix that, you go work on that, you go get whole, put yourself in a nice bow tie and come back to me?
Stacey, you can go.
Okay, I don't know why. All right, I guess I'll go. So here's my thoughts. It depends on the capacity, the level and the capacity of where that person is, and how transparent they are and honest about where you are in the healing process of your journey. If you are honest with me up front and we can have that real deep, honest conversation, I mean, ugly cries, whatever it is, this is what it is, nothing left, no stone left unturned, then I can possibly consider getting into the trenches with you, depending on what it is that you've shared with me, because I need that transparency first up front, and I need all of it so I can make an intelligent decision for myself of whether or not I have the capacity to carry this with you. Because I think that's what oftentimes happens. We're not honest with each other. We're not transparent with each other. We don't tell the truth about who we are and what we're carrying, or what it is that we have to unpack. So you can give that other person the choice to make, to say, I can do this with you, or that I even have the capacity to be what you need me to be. And that's just my take. I need to know first, offhand, what it is, and then I can make an intelligent decision from there. But I am not against anyone that is going through their healing process or their healing journey, because I am doing the same. We're all evolving every single day. I don't show up as a completely healed person. I'll never say that. I think what makes the difference is when you get to a point, I think Dr. OJ asks is, how much time do you know? Is when you get to the point where you say, I'm okay by myself if I don't meet this person, or this never happened. I think that's when you know you are really healed to an extent that you can actually be by yourself. And if it never happens, you are okay. You're not the person that have this codependency nature where you have to be underneath somebody in order for you to feel like you're fully a human being, or you're fully loved or functioning, or whatever the case may be. So that's my answer.
All right. What about you, Akan? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a lot with Stacy, but I would just say, it's still everyone has baggage, right? I feel like we all have baggages. So I don't know, saying that I want you to go take care of your stuff and come back. And let's not even be wrong. I've seen that happen before. It's happened to me a couple of times where people are like, I feel like you need to sort of like, do this or whatever, and you feel like you need to do that, or it happens. But it's like, it's more, are you like, that transparency and that honesty is important, right? I need to know that, like, how did you go through your stuff? How are you going through it now? And how do you how do you intend to go through it for, moving forward? And, that involves everything, encompasses everything, your character, how you perceive things, how you move forward. That's number one. And then number two, I also need to be honest to myself. Can I actually tolerate this thing? Can I tolerate your baggage? Because if, is this something I can carry? It doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make them a bad person. They can't take my baggage. So I think honesty to yourself, and then honesty from them, and because sometimes they say people are honest, but then they omit things, they don't say. So I think honesty and transparency, as Stacey has said, to yourself and from the person, that should allows me to determine if this is something that I want. And I think that has a lot to play with your personality, your character, just who you are as a person is what determines if we move forward or not, and vice versa. If someone was dealing with me, that would be my stand.
And Colin, as you said, because honesty and transparency, I'm glad that you brought it up. They're two different things. That's why I want them together, because you can be honest, but not transparent because you omit certain things. I need both. I need the transparency and I need the honesty. I don't need you omitting anything, because that way you still did not give me a fair opportunity to make this decision, intelligently enough, because you pretty much was deceptive in it.
Yeah, so I mean, I love that honesty and transparency part, because for me, it's very amazing. So I ran into this situation with this guy, and he comes and is like, yeah, this. I said, to be very honest with you, everything looks good, but here's the thing. These are some of my non-negotiables. And, just saying that alone, he came out straight up. He said, look, unfortunately, as amazing as you are, and as much as I want this, I don't think I can meet up to those things that you want. And I was like, great, I love it. That is amazing. Good. So you see that this, obviously, it's not going to work. And I love to have those upfront, open, honest, transparent conversations. And I don't know why people just can't be that. And I know not everyone is, I guess, in a good place with themselves where they feel confident enough to come out and say, especially for men, like, oh, look, I can do that. That's not something I have the capacity to do right now,
Exactly.
And I had the opposite in the past, where this girl said, yeah, I got it. I'm like, you ain't got shit. So
Can I say something on that? We also need to come to the realities of this, because what you're saying is very true, and I feel like that's the way it should be. But I was opportune to talk to someone about a situation where she had, and this was the same thing that happened, and the person is sort of define what happened, where they were going to in terms of the relationship and everything, and she sort of got tangled, and I was trying to ask her why, and she kept evading this thing of, and then we sort of came to that part where, like, you need to be upfront with the person. And you know what she said?
What?
She said, okay, but even when you get to that person who feels like it's not working, or I don't have what you want, she's like, how many times do you want to do that? So she's like, it gets to that place because maybe she was a bit, on the older side, and she felt like she was, she kept meeting people who didn't want, maybe, let's just say, sometimes things happen. Maybe it's people who want kids, and she's just like, how many times? And so that fatigue steps in. So eventually she meets someone, and the person is not being offered. And she said she doesn't push for that person to do that, because she feels like if she push for that, that is going to push them away. So loneliness is very powerful.
So she would rather, so it's kind of like a compromise, right?
Yeah, she's going to get the hot and the cold. And that's,
so certain compromises that we make where we put ourselves in a situation where, okay, I might be able to compromise for this to get what I want, but am I willing to compromise to keep it? Because, there's a difference when you compromise to say, oh, let me just become the missus. Let me just become the mister. and you have it because you made the compromise. But do you realize that every human being has a threshold? So you get to your threshold within that thing that you wanted so much, and you don't want it anymore.
So what happens is it becomes it's okay in the short term, but in the long term, you're suffering.
Oh, yes. That is so sad. And it's unfortunate that we're in this situation, because when you look at the dating pool out there, that's really the general statistics.
It is. And that's why I wanted us to acknowledge it, because I've been opportunity to talk a lot, especially, I know men are there, but I know it's more common with women. Especially since a lot of, and I'm not saying everybody is great the way they are, but there's this notion around women feel like their time is ticking. A lot of women, not everybody, but a lot of women feel like some will be honest with you, and so like it's there, and they fall into this, they become victims, and sometimes it happens so unconsciously and so unknowingly, because they've just that stuff is there. And so I don't know, I can't say I don't have 100% way to deal with that for sure, but this is why I'm saying, like, I don't think you have any other choice than to be tough. You have to be strong. You have to hang in there. You have to keep trying, and rooting out the bad weeds and hoping that you find the person, especially in the world that we live in now, especially with where people's values are.
But can I ask just yourself, Akan, and Dr. OJ? I think if we first ask ourselves, why is it that we want to be in a relationship? And do you have what it takes to be in a relationship? Because I know for sure that not all of us know what it is to show up in a relationship or even to be in a relationship. And so many of us are wanting something that I don't even think we have the capacity to give. But because in a society tells us these are the boxes that you need to check, or this is who you need to be in the world, that some of us as taking that on, like, okay, I have to be with someone or whatever the case may be. That's why I respect people like even Whoopi Goldberg. She has never been married. She has no desire to be married, and she's very blunt and okay with that. And there are many other people like her that are that way. And I am in love with people that are just that self-aware. You talked about before self. You start with that first. Those are, I think, the question we need to ask. Do you really have what it takes to be in a relationship? Because it comes with a lot of self-service, self-sacrificing. It comes with sometimes you giving up your dreams, your aspiration to be the supportive, whether it's the spouse or whatever, wife or husband, whatever the role it is that you're playing. And some of us we're selfish human beings. We can't even have a dog. Anthony O'Neill is one of my favorite persons to listen to right now. And he's funny as heck, because his pastor told him, because he's now under counseling, tell him that, you know what? I need you to start with a dog. I was telling Akan that he now has a dog because he realized in his relationships, the reason why
I'm not getting a dog, Stacey,
work out was because he was so selfish. So he's in counseling now, and his counselor advised him, start with a dog, because they're like little babies where they take your time and they love attention. And let's see how you do with giving up your time and yourself. And then we can determine if you can be in an actual relationship where you actually have to share your time with someone. You have to sacrifice maybe a business trip or something like that. I'm just throwing that example that I say that I really think the first thing you talk about was self. We have to start asking ourselves the hard questions before we start jumping into things and saying, this is what we want and this is what we want, when we don't even have a clue or the capacity to do any of these things.
Yeah.
Well, I think we just need to be able to figure out a way to understand who we are first, right?
Yes.
We have to start from that place of knowing who we are. You know, I mean, we're all made for community. Nobody's made to be by themselves. I strongly believe that. However, I also believe that knowing who you are will determine how you forge these relationships. Okay, so there is another thing, right? So healing, we're talking about healing from relationships. There's a friend of mine who just talking about her experiences with just meeting a certain type of men, and not just character-wise, just a certain demographic of men. Because we know that in the world today, when you look at the dating pool, there is more married than single men. And even the single men are mostly not in a position where they're ready to settle down. I don't know if that's fortunate or unfortunate. That's just the way it kind of seems. So the ones that are married are wanting to have extracurricular activities. And she said, Doctor, I don't get it. Like, for some reason, I just seem to keep either attracting or just getting suited by these married folks. Like, is it something that I am doing or something that I'm not doing? Or am I just so broken that those are the kinds of people that just seem to come my way? So I was like, I didn't even know how to answer that question. Is that a symptom of not being healed, or is that just a symptom of what's the symptom of that? Please, can someone help me with that?
I don't necessarily know if it's not a symptom of being healed or not being healed. It could just be a symptom of, as I said, you keep picking the same people, but just with a different name. So it goes back to self. So that young lady or that person may want to spend some time with themselves and identify the patterns in how you're choosing these people. Because whether she believe it or not, everything has a pattern. Everything in life has a pattern. So I'm not saying she's not healed. She may just need to take some time and actually look back at those past relationships. What about those people that she found attractive or appealing, or what she liked, and figure out what part of inside of her did it trigger, that makes her light up. Because then she may have to identify and deal with, where did that come from? Where did I learn that behavior from, that I needed this validation, or because maybe a lack of that validation is why I keep picking these people to fill this void.
Yeah, I think my question would be to her, like, when you meet these people, do you give like a married man, do you give him any time of day? You know what I mean? And which is still the same thing about self. It's like, that's what I'm saying, like identifying patterns, making sure you're stronger, making resolves. I resolve that this is what I'm going to do, and this is what it is. So then your discipline comes in, where once I get any incline, find out that you're married, I'm not even trying to give you any time of day to talk. Like, I'm not even trying to give, I don't want an introduction. I don't want to have drinks with, no, I do not want to even, it's like, you need to cut that off, because the truth about it is, you can't control the fact that married men are going around cheating. That's out of your control.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to be there. Just like there are also bad single people who are there. That is out of your control. What can you control?
Yeah.
Right? And like I said, I like to talk about these things that are like real, that we deal with.
Exactly.
One of the biggest problems is that repetitive cycle. Why is it that all the people I'm meeting now, no one is good enough? And then eventually you just meet someone and you fall for it. It's tough. But having an understanding that this is the world we live in right now, it's really toxic. It's toxic to find people with integrity, values, discipline, honesty, transparency. And I think, like, always having that at the back of your mind will give you a lot more elasticity to understand, listen, this might take a while, right? Because that's just what it is these days.
What's a while, I can.
A while is until I find the person that's right for me.
Woo!
Because honestly, what you're doing to yourself is, if you do not do that, you're going to learn the hard way. You're going to go into something that further destroys you. It further destroys you, and you don't want to do that. And like I said, that's where that problem, I think that's really where that issue is. I don't think that they're not women who have the best intentions. I don't think that they're not women who are out here. I think the problem is that fatigue just happens.
It is. It's
do you understand what I mean? Even when they've done the work on themselves, there's just that, because you admitting as a human being, human beings need love. People want to be loved. Yeah. And people want love and want to be loved. So that's why I say, like, self-work is the hardest thing. And to say this point, maybe some of it had to do with from your childhood, but some of it might just be about the fact that you're just lonely. You're just dead lonely. That's it. You know what I mean? And But then I think a lot of people too, they want to be loved and they want to do this thing, but you also have to understand in being with somebody, there is work that has to be done. I don't think a lot of people understand that being with somebody requires work. Are you ready to do the work that's involved with, let's say you get the perfect match in the perfect world. Let's just say you have that. So it's not the fatigue now.
Yeah.
Are you ready to do that work that comes with maintaining that relationship?
Exactly.
Making sure it grows. Even the plants, you have to water it. You have to give it good. It's just impossible. I just feel like these days a lot of people are not willing to do that work.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And sometimes I realize also that sometimes you see people come into situations, and I don't know if it's a lack of healing. People come into situations and they're fortunate enough to be with someone who's willing to do the work, who's doing the work, and one person just by default gets complacent. And it's like, okay, this has to be a two-way street. You know, one person can be doing the work and the other person is just expecting it to keep going the right way.
And Dr. OJ, can we have a conversation about when someone feels like they have a strength and they really good in that part and they believe that because they have that kind of strength, you need to be okay with the other bullshit that they have. Excuse my English, but with the other stuff that they have, and it's just like, okay, because I'm so strong in this part, whether it's I'm very smart when it comes to like making investments or whatever. I'm very smart when it comes to like emotional intelligence. That doesn't mean I shouldn't be strong financially. I think important for you to understand that when you meet a partner, what you do not have, the other person brings you in on it. You have to find a way to, you may not be as good as them in that way, but you need to find a way to balance things out. I think people get frustrated when they feel like they have a strength. Whereas in like, especially I think with men, one of that biggest issues with the provision, they feel like because
I was waiting for you to hit the nail on the head, because that really is the general bone of contention. Like,
yes, because
after all, I put a roof over your head, I'm providing, I'm paying the bills. What else do you want from me? Eh?
Exactly. So that is an issue, and they feel like that's what they need, but it's not, and it happens on both sides. So I think that's another conversation that we need to hit on the head. Just don't go walking on one part of your life and feel like the other person has to be okay with it because they're not as good as you at it, and then if they're not, then it becomes a challenge.
That's absolutely true. Okay, Stacey, what are your thoughts on that?
No, we talked about this in our Singles Connect WhatsApp chat before, where I said that, I think I've said it before, where some men feel like that the only role they're supposed to play is just to bring home a check. Or as they say in the American terminology, is to bring home the bacon. And they forget about the fact that there is an emotional part, there is a spiritual part, there's a physical part, because even sometimes not even your physical needs matter. As long as they're okay, then the heck with what you want. So I mean, it's about reciprocity. Relationship is about reciprocity. It's about give and take. It's about you guys showing up for each other, and even where the other person is lacking is where you also learn to pick up the slacks, or you also try to help them improve on that. I mean, give me 80% and we can spend the rest of our life working on the 20%.
That's true.
That's just what it is. And I think more often than some, I know Akan said is, but I think more often than most, women are the one that are always left with that, where we are left with picking up every other aspect of the relationship, from the nurturing of the children to the nurturing of you, taking care of whatever family issues may be having in your world or my world. And then the only responsibility you think you have is just to bring home the bacon. And I have to figure out even my own spiritual, emotional, and physical needs, because I said sometimes our needs don't even matter as long as we're having babies. So it's I think more often than not that we are the one that's left holding that coin. But I'm glad that you're talking about it, because yes, it's something that needs to be said.
Yes, man. I think we definitely have hit a lot of points today, talking about from friendships to relationships, I mean, healing is a lifelong, this is just my own outtake. Healing is a lifelong journey that we all have to embark upon. Because I realize that as long as we continue to interact with each other, we're all going to sort of have some type of friction. Even in the perfect relationship, even in the relationship of your dreams, you're going to have situations where you are hurt, you are disappointed, you are let down, and you have to heal quickly from that. And I think the first step for me would be forgiveness, right? I learned a phrase a couple of months ago, and I've been adopting it. Like when people offend me, I'm like, forgive fast, forgive fast, forgive fast. And it was just even a spiritual exercise that we did, just a fasting period where it was about fasting, about forgiveness and helping each other learn how to forgive fast, like just adopting that method to be able to get yourself inclined with what God really has for you in that season. Because a lot of us even are blocking all of our blessings just by having all this brokenness around us. And a lot of the brokenness stems, I don't know, possibly from unforgiveness, either unforgiveness towards people or even forgiving ourselves. Do you know how many times I've been hard on myself saying, how smart can I be, yet be so stupid? Because at the end of the day, you look at it like you're very intelligent, you seem to have it all together, but when it comes to relationships, honestly, I don't think anyone can be too smart to make a bad decision when it comes to human interaction, right? And sometimes I find it hard to give myself that grace. I'm so hard on myself. I'm just now learning it to be like, okay, well, okay, if this thing, okay, maybe that, oh yeah, that was a hit, that was a miss. Okay, let's let it go. But then it still takes me a bit of time to get over it personally. So I think that forgiveness component needs to be in there towards people and towards self. And then you can begin to work on the other things. And I love what Akan talked about, the patterns, right? Identifying those patterns. And I think a lot of us are not able to even stand outside the frame of our picture to even look at things from that way. Like, what are my patterns when it comes to things like this? How do I respond when it comes to situations like this? Or how am I making selections when it comes to this space of my life? Am I just always attracting or picking the wrong people or these types of people? Or am I always taking this approach and this is what gets me around this vicious cycle that I find myself? I think those patterns are so important for us to identify it. And of course, we talked about self-awareness, that cannot, in fact, that stuff is, I mean, it's a whole lot of stuff. But I say staying healed, getting healed and staying healed, it's a lifelong journey, man. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah,
it is. I think we're all evolving as human beings every single day. I think we are not the same people every day. I think it's just giving yourself grace and us just having grace for each other in order to love each other at every aspect. It's about making that conscious choice, especially when you're in relationships and the healthy type of relationships. I'm not talking about the toxic relationship where it's just pulling a piece of you every single day. I'm talking about a healthy relationship where that person has to make a choice to love you at every level, at every evaluation of who you're becoming. So that's what I will say. My saying these days is healed is the new sexy. That's what I'm about.
Healed is the new sexy. I love it. I love it. Some people look healed though, but they're broken like, ugh.
Oh, well, yeah, I'll tell you, Dr. OJ. I'll just tell you a quick story before I go. So on the app, well, this gentleman said, "Oh, what are you looking for?" So no, I said, "What are you here for? And what are you looking for?" So he said he's looking for friendship, and I said, "Well, just to be transparent, I am not looking for friendship. God has blessed me with enough of those." So then he came back with a smart answer that he doesn't understand why women in this platform get mad when men say they're not looking for relationships. And so I responded and said, I think I have enough intelligence to say that I respect what you are saying. However, I'm just not going to waste my time communicating with somebody that is not intentionally and have a purpose in your interaction with people. So then he came back with a long lecture, but then the more I try to, I wouldn't say the debate, but have an intelligent answer to give to him, is the more intrigued he seemed to be, and he keeps coming back. So what is your perspective on this? And I said, you see, this is what I'm talking about. one, you got offended because I was intelligent enough to accept your answer and not be one of those women that become everything to somebody and then you end up becoming nothing, because you clearly stated you just want a friendship, and that's not what I'm after. So what I'm going to do is prioritize my time and my management skills here, and to say that I'm not interested in what you think my perspective is, because there's no point to us having these conversations, because you want a friend and I'm not interested in a friend.
But you know, Stacey, I learned something about men and friendships, right? So a lot of men are more comfortable starting out with friendships, because I used to be like that, and I'll be like, "What do you mean you want a friend? Like, tell me what you want." But I realized that men, as different as they are from us, yeah, there are a few of them who will come right up and say, "Hey, I'm out here trying to find a wife. I'm trying to get married. I'm trying to get in a relationship." But most men are very gun shy. They just want to see, okay, let's be friends. And as they advance in that friendship, for the most part, I've also learned that most of them do not really know what they're looking for until they actually find what they're looking for. I don't know, is that true? Until it's right in front of them and they realize, oh yeah, I want a friend, but then I think this could be my wife. I don't know if
no, I asked that question. He said, oh, because I'm focusing on myself.
Yeah.
He's focusing. So I said, and then he proceeded to say, and my queen will understand. So I'm like, well, God bless you, and I'm glad that your queen will understand you're focusing on yourself and not your future. And at a point, I'm done. That's my story. Go ahead. What do you think?
No. Swipe left on that one. That one.
I'm telling you, Dr. OJ, it's not, I understand the foundation and the benefits and also the value in developing a friendship with somebody first. I get that. But if you are going to start off the bat by saying, I'm only here looking for friendship because I am working on myself, then I suggest you work on yourself outside of a dating app. The whole point of being on a dating app is you are available. You are not available because you are working on yourself and you just need friendship. Go hang out at a bar. You can find people to talk to at a bar.
Oh Lord, dating apps, man. I don't know. I tried it once and I was like, never again, man. Forget that. Forget that. Nah.
Oh my gosh, this is exhausting.
Again, man. I'm not, nah. We'll meet people somewhere out on the streets somewhere.
Yeah, I'm really praying for an organic encounter, but I'm just like, but I spend 12 hours at work, another 2.5 hours in the traffic to get home. And I'm just like, Lord, I mean, when you add it all up, even my commute is like a second job.
So we need to look at, and this is what I've been told, right? So even for me, I've been told the same thing. I need to look at my calendar, and you literally need to intentionally put it in there to create opportunities to meet people. So for me, I guess I'm fortunate in a little bit, although it doesn't quite work out, or sometimes, I don't know, not yet anyway, because fortunately, one of my work things is social. I'm hosting events. So I'm always out and about a lot of people. But that also makes me very peculiar in the sense that I'm extremely guarded, because, when you're in that position and you're on the spotlight and things like that, you never want to trust people's intention, and you want to protect yourself. It's just, it's really, really, it's interesting. I don't know. Maybe I need to heal myself some more. I need more healing. Oh Lord.
Yeah, you gotta be intentional. You gotta be intentional. You gotta make time. That's the truth. You're not being intentional, you're not gonna be able to meet more people, and then meet people in environments that you feel like you would find yourself normally. That can help, because then you have similar interests.
Yes.
So you just gotta make time for it. I think I did see somebody. I don't know if it was on another group, and the person was like, "Well, she's looking for someone today, but she doesn't have time." You have to make time, because you're already shooting yourself in the foot. When you start dating the person, even if you meet someone, you're not making enough time to see who they are. That's a problem. That's a challenge.
Ken, how do you make time? How are you intentional about dating?
Oh, you're intentional so for me, I ask for referrals. Like I look at people who are like really good, who I trust, who I've met, who became friends, and I say, listen, in your circle, are they people that you see, if you do see someone around that you feel like is level-headed? Because I feel like referrals are the best, because a lot of times I feel, and this is my experience, people who can vouch for people, it's easier. I have met someone who I've asked, and he's like, oh, I know this. I'm like, do you know that? And he's like, oh no, I don't know what they are capable of. I said, then there's no need. Right. So, and this is what I'm saying, like, so that's one. Number two, going to those events where you feel like-minded people are coming to, so I've gone to like mixers, maybe that have, really groups where I trusted people, and other people came to those mixers. It's easier for you to meet. I feel like it's a better, environment for you to meet people on there. So I feel like you make time for that. And then if you do meet someone, and you could meet someone anywhere, but then, okay, let's make time to have coffee. Let's make time to have a drink. Let's make, so I feel like that would be for me the recommendation.
No, you're so right. But for me, it's just crazy because I meet guys, and the funny thing, maybe 8 out of 10 guys that I meet to say, you know what, I really, really like you, but it seems like you're really, really busy. And I'm like, why don't you let me let you know that I'm busy? How did you come?
So, Dr. OJ, you did mention something about friends and people. So I don't know. People say that I don't agree with that. A man who sees something that he wants or someone he wants, he makes no excuses to go after the person. Any man that is, because men know that other men are hunting. They know that other men are hunting this woman. That's why when you see a woman that sees a man, they go like, because they don't want another man to even like try to get that catch.
Try to get in that space, right?
Yeah. So once the man starts to tell you, oh no, I want to say, oh listen,
no,
they're not.
It's a mind game, Dr. OJ. It's a mind game. It's really trying to see. It's a mind game. It's trying to see how much I can get out of you with giving very little. That's what it is. So they tell you this foolishness about, especially I'm just gonna speak for myself. At my age, you trying to tell me you think that I haven't curated genuine, good, decent friendship in my 43 years that I really need to add another one to the roster? And if I do, trust me, I don't need to go on a dating app to do that. No, it's they're trying to play mind games with you to see how much I can get out of you without committing very little. That's what it is. And so I call it BS. I called him on it, and in a very intelligent way. Now he keeps blowing on my inbox because, well, I need to hear your perspective on this. Oh no, sir. No, sir. You have no intentions of trying to get to know me.
And any man who likes you, who is really interested in you, if you literally make that stop, that draw that boundary, that hey, listen, if you already get to know me, let's get to do it formally and straightforward. And if they're really in, they'll sit up immediately, because they'll be wowed by the fact that, okay, this lady, she's not playing. Okay, let me see what it's about. It's someone who's not really interested. I'll be like, yeah. But they, of course, men will test you. So they will test you because they know that there's a lot of women out here who are also not genuine, who they feel like they can play with. But when they see someone who is like, okay, this person is like, oh, listen, I'm not bullshitting. I can make time for us to meet. You have to show me, and then they'll definitely will. So I just tell women, people who I love, and listen, any man that is really interested in you, he's coming after you. Well, he's coming. He may not. I don't like using the word chase, but he will pursue you.
He will pursue you.
He'll pursue you, and because he knows that's what he wants. So that's just how it is.
And he'll make his intentions clear.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
he'll make his intentions clear, because clarity is important. Because when there's cloudiness of, let's see, well, this is this, at that point, you really can tell that this is just a whole case. Yes, move on over to the right or to the left. Yeah, it's important. And I think that's also part of healing, because I think a lot of women definitely need to heal from all the BS that they encounter every day. Because you don't even have to be in a relationship to need healing. I think even just going through the motions and having to just vet and rotate, vet and rotate, sometimes can be quite traumatizing for a lot of people, both men and women. So now we're talking about healing. It's not even you being engaged in a relationship full blown. It's just even the endeavor, just trying to get into it and trying to go through that process to vet, to date, to screen, to select in 2024.
So you have to be intentional. You have to.
That is traumatizing, guys. Listen, all these crazy folks out here. Oh
You
my
have to be
goodness.
intentional about. You have to actually be intentional about healing. You have to be intentional about it. That's the truth about it. You have to be intentional about being the person, like what you want and who you want to be. That intentionality comes in. That intentionality requires work, but you have to do it. That's because also too, I think from then to like, especially like for me, even when I was going there, when I looked at, I go, okay, it gets you to look at, well, okay, are there things that I need to do that allows me to meet this type of person that I'm supposed to meet? Have I done this work enough on myself in this part? Is there a reason why these people feel like, okay, I kind of met this person that they feel like, so that it sort of also informs you that, okay, maybe I need to do some more work on myself.
That's true. I like that. I like that part.
Maybe I need to do some more work. Maybe I need to cover this area, right? It doesn't mean that I don't have, but I'm just lacking in this area. And, you could sort of identify it by the time you have interactions with people. And it's usually tough to admit it, but it happens a lot.
So. Yep, guys. Yeah, we've spent quite a bit of time today, and it's such an interesting topic. And we'll definitely have so much more to bring to you guys on the next episode of Singles Connect Community Podcast. All right, today we talked about healing. And I just pray, as we're celebrating Thanksgiving this week, that we all find loads of healing in some turkey and some dress and lots of food and whatever else, and hopefully some love along the way. All right, guys, my name is Dr. Oyinka Solachinado, signing out today.
Oh, so nice hanging out with you, ladies.
Thank you for joining us, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and also to follow our Instagram page as well, and subscribe to the channel and recommend it to somebody else. I know that we talked about a lot of things today, but trust me, it all falls in the same category of healing, and I'm sure that somebody will get something from it.
Yeah, I just want to say, every time I have these conversations with you ladies, I also learn a lot of things myself, even as we speak about this. So it's always a great time, and I hope that the viewers also learn a lot, and the information was impactful. And we're definitely going to keep coming back with more episodes for you. Have a good Thanksgiving and have a great time, and stay healing.
Stay healing. Yeah, it's continuous process. Healing on repeat. Put it on repeat. All right, heal, repeat, heal, repeat. Yep. All right, guys. Bye, everyone.
All right, bye.